we're focusing on those that are actually keeping America running, and so many of us are ordering things delivered to our doorstep. A lot of that takes those truckers staying on the road. Tell us about the effort that you have employed for your employees.
Well, thank you, Sandra. Thanks for having us on today. Yeah, the American trucker is truly one of the great unsung heroes of this pandemic crisis that we're all dealing with. You know, I like to think all workers are essential. I think we've put this label, this moniker of essential workers on things. I think all workers are essential and will be to get our economy back going. But the truck drivers, the health workers, the first responders are all what I would call extraordinary workers. They're the ones out on that front line doing what it takes to keep everything going. And that drivers certainly are a big part of that.
Part of keeping them going is keeping them safe. So what are you doing to keep your truckers safe, Tom?
Well, it's been interesting to see how that's evolved over the last several weeks. We're certainly doing everything we can to our workforce is deployed over all 48 states. So it's not like we can reach out and touch them personally every day, but through our mobile communication devices and throughout our network, we are communicating with them, making sure their health is at the top of our list. We're doing everything we can to comply with the CDC requirements, the state-by-state requirements. Some of our customers, shippers and receivers have their own requirements. So we're doing everything we can to comply with those and keep the drivers safe. But first and foremost on that is just an overall awareness, making sure that they are aware of any symptoms they might be having so we can be proactive in addressing that if that occurs.
Tom, so many of us, as we head to the grocery store throughout this, you know, you've heard the stories about they're out of toilet paper on the store shelves or out of paper towels. And, you know, you see those trucks pull up and it gives you hope that we are keeping those goods flowing into the store so that we can get what we need to get through this. Has it been hard to recruit drivers in the middle of all this, considering they do have to go a lot of different places, interact with a lot of people, and expose themselves?
Well, actually, our recruiting has been fairly strong the last several weeks. We've continued to be very aggressive on recruiting. That certainly has its own challenges as well to make sure we're bringing people in that are safe. We're taking temperatures when they arrive. We're doing everything we can to mitigate any challenges that exist. But we've got to make sure it's business as usual as best we can. I think, Sandra, in general, the supply chain's been remarkable. When I look at our shippers, our receivers, the customers we deal with, all of our vendors, they're just doing an outstanding job. It's so many things behind the scenes that keep that supply chain flowing as smoothly as it's been. It takes a lot of work, and I've been amazed at how everyone has worked together to make that happen.
What have you seen as far as demand? You know, so often we turn to the railroads and to the trucks to see what is moving and what is being demanded by our consumers, by our businesses. How have you seen those needs changed for transportation of those goods?
Well, certainly the consumer packaged good products have been in high demand. You mentioned toilet paper, but really virtually everything that's on the stock on the shelves at a Walmart is essential to the consumers out there. And so we've seen just a lot of those basic necessities being very, very high demand. The cereal business has been very strong. The General Mills, the Kellogg's, those types of folks have been very busy. Kimberly-Clark. I'm just going down the list of some of our larger customers that have been very busy throughout this.
Tom, we love our truck drivers, and it's so important to keep them safe and keep them going through all this. We talked about when we introed into you about them being labeled road heroes. Do they have a great sense of pride in what they're doing and keeping America going?
They really do, Sandra. Our drivers have always been extremely patriotic. They take great pride in their job. They take great pride in the country. And I think they do recognize the vital role they serve all the time, but particularly right now. We like to say all the time, if you bought it, a truck driver brought it. And it ultimately is that driver that makes that delivery.
We thank them. We're looking at images of the highways. You know, you're out there right now. People aren't driving places, they're staying home, but those trucks are out there and they are delivering those goods. Tom, leave us off. What can we say to a truck driver? If we know one, we have one in our family, what's a good way to say our thank you?
You know, I think just acknowledge them. If you see them, say thank you. If you pass them on the highway, give them a thumbs up. Just let them know you appreciate them and they appreciate you as well. So I do think we have an awful lot of heroes out there, and the drivers are part of that group.
Tom Ostergaard, appreciate you coming on this morning. It's an important part of this story to tell. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sandra.
Police in Colorado now apologizing after handcuffing a man who allegedly violated social distancing rules. The former state patrol trooper was in an empty softball field with his 6-year-old daughter. So have authorities taken the new social distancing guidelines too far? Rich Edson is live in Washington with details on that. Good morning, Rich.
Hey, good morning, Ed. And here in Lincoln Park in the Capitol Hill neighborhood of Washington, D.C., you've got police officers at both ends of the park. They're telling people, walk your dog, get your workout in, and move along. As officers are still trying to navigate these evolving social distancing orders around the country, sometimes it's creating these uncomfortable situations, and sometimes the authorities have backed down. You mentioned it. There was that issue in Colorado where the man was playing with his 6-year-old daughter. Police officers handcuffed him in front of his daughter. Eventually, they let him go. They issued an apology and explained that they were just trying to interpret several layers of state public health orders, and there may have been a misunderstanding. In Philadelphia, officers dragged a man off a bus after he refused to wear a face mask. The transit authority is reportedly no longer enforcing that policy. Now, police across the country have also broken up parties and gatherings as the United States navigates this unprecedented shutdown.
Americans, prize their freedom. They prize their individual rights and civil liberties. But the American public, by and large, understands. Their state and local health officials and their president are telling them that this is important.
Federal officials say Americans are largely following these guidelines and decree orders for now, and that is saving lives. Though police officers and local authorities are still trying to balance this as these policies do begin to move forward. They're trying to keep Americans apart, but they're also trying to keep people on board with doing what they're supposed to. Ed?
All right, Rich Edson in Washington. Thank you. Sandra?
Thanks, Ed. The mother of Minnesota Timberwolves star Karl Anthony Towns passing away yesterday due to coronavirus complications. A statement from the family says Jacqueline Cruz Towns was a fiery, caring, and extremely loving person who touched everyone she met. Her death comes nearly 3 weeks after her son revealed that she was in a medically induced coma. Towns' father, Carl Sr., was also infected but has recovered. Our best for that.
What a tragedy. The Dow surging. Meanwhile, investors start to feel more optimistic that the worst of the coronavirus pandemic may be behind us. Plus, millions of Americans waiting on relief may receive prepaid cards instead of paper checks. What are the advantages to that for you? Colin McShane on all of it and more next.
Here in a ditch. Did you know that in most cases you, the homeowner, are responsible